بسم الله. Here. Let's start إن شاء الله. Here. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أفضل المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد. Welcome back. This is the fifth class in our series about the Mongols. And before I start, alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair for being patient. I know up till now, all the classes, as you can see, the ummah falling. Inshallah, starting today, you'll see the complete opposite. Right? So just a good tiding, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah. So I look forward, inshallah, to share this with you and how this happens. So last time, what we saw is how the Mongols came again under Hulagu Khan, how they started their invasion by taking the capital of the Khilafah, Baghdad itself. And we saw how they even killed the Khalifa of the Muslimin in a most humiliating way. And the most astonishing thing is that there is almost no response. Everybody is psychologically defeated. Because their warfare had a lot to do with psychology. Muslims were convinced at this point they can't fight, that the Mongols are unstoppable. And as such, we saw that all the cities in Sham, whether it's Aleppo, Damascus, many cities, Mosul, they surrendered to the Mongols. And we saw last time how the Mongols went through Sham and ended up taking Aleppo and ended up taking Damascus, and how they made an alliance with the Crusaders and the Christians of Armenia, and how the Muslims in Damascus, the capital of Sham, I mean, the capital of the Umayyad Khilafahs hundreds of years ago, the Muslims were insulted and the cross was raised and Islam is being insulted and nobody can do anything. And it seems that Muslim was in such a low point. And at that point, it seems that from the Mongols' perspective, they're achieving their goals. And now they took all Central Asia, Iraq fell, now Sham, Damascus, and all the cities fell. What is their next step? Their next step is like nothing is preventing them from going to Hijaz if you want, Medina and Mecca. I mean, there is no force to stop them if they want to. But they were thinking about what this is desert. I mean, they're not very much interested in that, right? But the real last stand was Egypt. And if you remember, we spoke about Egypt and what was happening there, and the descendants of Salah ad-Din and this great Najm ad-Din Ayyub, one of the Ayyubiyin, and how he gathered around him the Mamluks, the Mamalik, right? And we saw the turmoil around the throne in Egypt. This was happening while all this is going on, right? So the last stance was Egypt. And Egypt at this point, the Ayyubiyin are gone, and it is the time of the Mamalik. When the Mamalik rose to power, remember with Shajarat al-Durr and all the fiasco like that happened with getting married and killing the husband, and right? So this is what was going on, right? At this point, and this again, just a reminder, if you remember, there was a lot of turmoil in Egypt, and it ended up that the one that was on the throne at this point was one of the Mamalik, one of the Mamluks, because everybody else was simply dead. Everybody that wanted the throne ended up dead. And he found himself on the throne of Egypt in such kind of a situation. Now, when he came to power, it was not an easy task at all. Because when you look to his challenges, it was very difficult. The first thing he did, he said, okay, you know what? I'm loyal to my, Izz ad-Din Aybak. So he has a young son called Nur ad-Din Ali, very young. He said, okay, his young son is the Sultan. I'm just going to be helping. I'm the one to take care of this Sultan, but he's the real Sultan, right? And at that point, he had a number of challenges. Number one, internal challenges. The Mamalik of Egypt themselves are divided. Why Qutuz? Why you, not me? Remember we said the Mamluks, the way they were brought up, they were very loyal to their master. They had such loyalty to their master. But the problem was two things. We said number one was what? No female figures. Remember that? So they were very harsh, very hard, very tough, soldier-like. And the second thing, with each other, they're very competitive. We're a cohort, and there is the master, and so me and you, so if you become the Sultan, why you, not me? They compete. So when Qutuz came to the throne, or like he's the one taking care of the young Sultan, he understood the other Mamalik might why I am senior than you, I am better than you. So he had to face that, the internal unrest. Economical challenges. Egypt, because of all the unrest, it wasn't doing well in terms of finances. Now, the external challenges, he had so many things to worry about. Number one, the Ayyubiyin in Sham. Like, remember the descendant of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi? Remember that guy? What was his name? The same like Salah ad-Din. His name was Nasir Yusuf Salah ad-Din. And that man, all what he wanted is to take Egypt. And we said he allied himself in the beginning with Hulagu Khan for what? I will help you in return that you supply me with troops so I can take Egypt, right? So there is an obsession, the Ayyubiyin, they see Qutuz and the Mamalik as what? You are one day slaves. We are the descendants of Salah ad-Din. You know the royal blood thing? We rule because of what? Royal blood. You know that idea, right? So we're the royals, so this belongs to us. So how dare you? So he was obsessed of taking Egypt. And that's a Muslim, right? So that's one. And later, as we know, things did not turn well between him and Hulagu, and the fight happened, if you remember. So that was one challenge. The other, many of the Mamalik, like Baybars, they fled after the turmoil that happened between the Mamluks. So half of the Mamalik are already outside, right? Then you have the Mongol invasion. He's hearing about Hulagu's coming, Baghdad fell, Sham. So that's a major force coming towards you. Plus the Crusaders. They're still there, and who knows what they're going to do. What if they ally themselves with the Mongols and now I'm 2 attacks at one? So you can see when he came to power, would you like to take this challenge? It's very difficult. Things are not easy inside and outside, right? What did he do? What helped him? Though things are difficult, there was a couple of things that helped Qutuz. The number one thing that I will start by emphasizing is this: the legacy of Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi and Nur ad-Din Zinki. The schools that Salah ad-Din built in Egypt and Sham still existed. So there were a lot of good scholars. And those good scholars kept the Iman and faith in people alive. Not only that, one of them in particular, and I'll start by that. Remember Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam? This great scholar who was in Damascus, and what he did, and like remember when the ruler of Damascus made an alliance with the Franks, and he revolted, and he caused people to and big battle happened, and Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam is very vocal. Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam ended up in Egypt, right? So now he is in Egypt, and I'll tell you 2 stories about Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam to start with, to understand the power of scholars at that time, especially Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam. When he went to Egypt, in the beginning, he saw the Sultan Najm ad-Din Ayyub, the great Sultan of Egypt, with all the Mamalik around him. You know, all those warriors in their ornaments and their swords and their armor and their magnificence, and they're powerful. They defeated the Seventh Crusade, and they captured Louis. They're like Baybars and very powerful people. And he says, Najm ad-Din is in this parade with the Mamalik around. So he stands in front of him, and he says the following in public: Ya ibn Ayyub. He doesn't call him a Sultan. Ya son of Ayyub. Ya ibn Ayyub. You are walking in Egypt and this and that, and don't you know what's happening in your country? How dare you? I see shops here and there selling wine in public. And that is haram. How can you be in the ruler of Egypt and you allow wine to be sold in your country under your rule in public, in the streets like that? And there is, places with nightclubs, if you will. And this is completely not permitted. And wine is haram. You can't sell it. So the Sultan said, Ya Sheikh, this is not something I did. That was from the time of my father. I didn't do that. So Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam said, are you among the people that the Quran spoke about? The people that said, Inna wajadna aba'ana ala ummah, wa nahnu ala atharihim muqtadun? Are you among those people that say, we found our forefathers following away? And right? You have to stop. And the Sultan just said, okay, khalas. What do you want? He said, shut all those places, no wine. And he said, okay. And he lowered himself. People went to Al-Izz ibn Abd al-Salam and asked, weren't you afraid? You spoke to the Sultan this way, and the Mamalik were looking at him. Everybody's with his sword ready to because that's their master. Right? Just give us the permission and he's gone. And he told me, Ya Sheikh, weren't you afraid? He said, by Allah, when I spoke to him, I remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember who Allah is. And he looked like a kitten in front of me. And then people asked him, Ya Sheikh, why did you admonish him in public? You humiliated the Sultan. Shouldn't you have done it in private? I mean, you can go to him in private. Isn't that the way when you want to admonish someone, how do you do it? You don't do it in public. So he was telling him, you humiliated the Sultan in front of everybody, in front of his Mamalik, right? Shouldn't you have went to him in private and gave him advice? And here Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam says something really powerful. Why he did that, his intent. He said, my son, when I saw him walking in that parade, and I saw the Mamalik around him, and their strength, and their power, and their glamour, and I saw that arrogance and self-admiration is starting to play with his head. So why did he admonish him? I wanted to remind him of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. I wanted deliberately to remind him that no, there is something above you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and scholars are above you. That's why I did this. I was protecting him from the people around him. I was protecting his heart from arrogance and self-admiration. That is why I did what I did. Now, Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam did something even more audacious. So Najm al-Din Ayyub loved him because he's a scholar and he speaks the truth. So he gave him the Qada of Egypt. The first thing he did, Qada is, the judge of Egypt. The first thing he did is, wait a minute, what about those Mamalik? Who are they? And he said, yeah, those are the slave kids that we bought long time ago. We raised them, and we taught them, and we taught them everything. And then I freed them, and I gave them the positions. And said, wait a minute, who bought them? And I did. And he said, with what money? You bought them with whose money? Whose money? The state. He said, therefore they're not yours. They belong to who? The people. Who freed them? You did. The people did it. Therefore, they're not free. They're slaves. And who owns them? The people. What does that mean? He said, therefore, all the transactions they're doing as free people is invalid. And they are not free. But the Sultan said, I want to free him. Free all of them. He said, but they're not yours. The only way to free them is one way. We have to bring them in the marketplace one by one. And I will make a public auction. I put one of them in front of them and say, Babars is for sale. Who wants to buy? Who wants to? Do you understand the humiliation? And you're speaking about the Mamalik. You're going to put me in the marketplace and you're going to auction me out? And of course, and he insisted. Else, none of their financial transactions will be validated by me. And the Mamluks heard this. And they were furious. And one of their leaders said, who is this Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam? He wants to sell me in the marketplace in an auction? And he put his armor, his war gear, and they look scary, right? And he took his sword, and he took his sword out, and he went to the Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam and banged his door, right? And the Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam, his son, opened the door, and he found who? The Mamluk. Frowning with the sword, with the armor. Where is your dad? And he ran inside, went to his father, Sheikh Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam, Baba, and he was scared. There is the Mamluk sword, and he's asking for you, and he's going to kill you. And here Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam looks to his son and says something really interesting. He says, my son, don't worry. He's really not going to kill me. He won't kill me, trust me. Why? He said, well, your father did not reach the stage by which he will die as a shaheed. Dying as shaheed is something I did not achieve. It's not going to happen because I don't think I'm at this rank. So don't worry, he's not going to kill me. I'm not that good. I'm not, one of those people. Didn't reach that yet. So if you're worried that I'm going to get killed, no, I wish your dad isn't at that level. And Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam went to him. And he went and he looked at the Mamluk with the sword, right? And he told them the following: what do you want? And it is said the Mamluk froze, could not move. Literally. Said, what do you want? And he couldn't move. And he starts trembling. What do you want? And the Mamluk fell on his knees and started, Sayyidi, please forgive me. Right? And he said, What do you want? He said, please forgive me. And then he asked him, Sayyidi, he's speaking to Al-Izz, what are you going to do to us? He said, I'm going to sell you. Where? In the public place. Who's going to do it? Me. Okay. And he puts his sword back and just goes. What happened? The Mamluk, the warrior, Al-Izz ibn Abd salam. There are people, the Jalal and the might of Allah is in their face. It also shows you, because the Mamalik, how were they raised? Scholars are important. The reverence of scholars is there. This was one good thing about the Mamalik. They can even transgress, but when it comes to scholars, they're raised to respect scholars. So scholars had a say, right? And Al-Izz ibn Abd salam, by the way, he sold all of them. And what happened is Najmuddin Ayyub, to save the day, he came to the marketplace and he bought all of them with his private money and then released them. Right? This was how this thing ended. So Al-Izz ibn Abd salam is known as Ba'i al-Muluk, the one that sell kings, because all those Mamalik, right? He sold in the public place, right? But it shows you the strength of the scholars of the time. So Al-Izz ibn Abd salam was there with Qutuz, and you'll see how important that is. Type. What were the steps of reform of Qutuz, right? First of all, the news arrived that Baghdad fell and Hulaku was invading Sham. The Mamluk's old enemy, Nasr Yusuf, is now in trouble because Hulaku flipped and he's attacking Nasr Yusuf, the one that wanted to invade Egypt. He is in trouble right now. Now Qutuz calls for a meeting with all the leaders. And the scholars, the likes of Al-Izz ibn Abd salam, was present. Supported by Al-Izz ibn Abd salam, the scholar made it clear, this is not a time for a child ruler. No. Khalas, this royalty that you're the ruler, therefore your son is the ruler, has to stop. We need a strong man. Qutuz, you are the Sultan of Egypt, period. Right? So he supported Qutuz, he raised him and said, you are our Sultan. And everyone agreed that Qutuz now is officially the one that is ruling Egypt. Why? Because of all the dangers it's facing. Type. What happens? The first thing Qutuz does, right? And I want now, those are the steps he took. And I want you to see what he's doing. The first thing, he sent to all the Mamalik and gathered them. What is he worried about? If Al-Izz ibn Abd salam made me a sultan, what will the rest of the Mamalik do? Revolt. And so he gathered all of them and he gave this wonderful speech. He said the following: I did not come to power except to face the Mongol danger. This could not be accomplished without the authority of a strong sultan. Once we defeat our enemy, the matter of who the ruler is for all of you to decide. Once we accomplish our task, you can pick and choose whomever you want to take power in my place. What is he saying here? This is revolutionary. People back in the day, like you take power, what happens? Royalty. He's saying, hey, no. I'm not even planning to sit on this seat. Don't worry. I'm here for one reason. He's telling people look, we have a bigger problem. There is the Mongols. I'm here, I have one intent, to defeat the Mongols. Once this is accomplished, guess what? I leave this chair, you guys pick. Shura. You pick. I'm not interested in that chair anymore. When he told the Mamalik that, they were okay, that's good. Right? They understand. And he made them focus on what? The external enemy. And remember, they're strong. There is the common enemy, the Mongols. And then don't worry about the throne. Later you can decide. Let's unite. Let's defeat the enemy. So all the Mamalik calmed down. So that was a very important step that he did. The second thing, which is I find very amazing. He sent a letter to Nasr Yusuf, the man that wanted to invade Egypt, the one that betrayed, the one that allied himself with Hulaku, and it didn't pay off, and Hulaku was attacking him, right? And attacking Aleppo and attacking Damascus. Qutuz, what do you think he did? I want you to see something here really interesting. He said the following: I propose, Qutuz is sending him this, to be your representative and deputy in Egypt. I will not dispute with you over who to rule. If you wish, you can be in power of Egypt and Sham. And if you wish for me to be of service to you, I will come with all my army to be under your command against the danger you're facing. Damascus is a Muslim city. Qutuz is putting that first. The most important thing is not that Nasser Yusuf is a traitor. No, there is a city, Damascus, the capital is going to fall. I have an army, so he's telling me, I don't care. I'll come and service you, but we have to defend that city. And then he said what? And if you fear my presence, if you feel that I'm strong and I might take, don't worry. Send me any of your commanders, I'll send the army of Egypt under him so that we can attack the Mongols together. Sham and Egypt need to be united. That's the only way. And the throne of Egypt, take it. Why are you fighting for it? For years, Egypt and Sham are fighting over the throne. We're one. Come, take the throne with one condition, that we unite and we fight the Mongols. What do you think Nasser Yusuf did when he got this letter? If you're in his place, what would you do? It's an offer that it's like, what more do you want? Guess what happened? Do you think Nasser Yusuf accepted? No. Why? It's too good to be true. That must be a trick. I mean, he couldn't imagine that people exist that can leave the throne that easily. You get the idea? We see people the way we are. Be very careful. This is an Islamic and psychological principle. من قال هلك الناس فهو أهلكهم. We see people, if I am a person that have certain defects, I'm greedy. Everybody else is greedy. If I'm a person that I always put my desires first, everybody must be like me. Sometimes the lens by which I see, I'm not seeing you, I'm seeing you reflected, I'm seeing me reflected in you. So he's thinking, Nasser Yusuf, everybody's like him. All the rulers must be like me. So he couldn't believe Qutuz. That must be a trap. He wants me to come to Egypt to what? Maybe kill me. He wants to come here and take over. No, I can't accept that. He ended up declining this offer. And Aleppo and Damascus fell, as you know. But that tell you about who Qutuz was, right? Look at the sincerity of Qutuz, right? Type. Then he sent to all the Mamalik that left Egypt. Remember Aybak and Aqtai and Shajarat al-Durr and what happened and how they killed each other and the Mamaliks. He said, okay, enough is enough. All the Mamalik, whether they're the ones that revolted, the ones that didn't, we do not care. Come back to Egypt. We're all brothers. We're all Muslims. We have one enemy. General pardon for all the Mamalik that left Egypt. Baybars and everybody else, come and you will resume your positions. And they came. And Baybars came back. And that strengthened the army of Egypt. Notice he started with what? Forgiveness, pardoning, which is a very important lesson, right? And therefore, now a lot of soldiers started coming to Qutuz. All the Mamalik, some of the soldiers of Sham, there is someone that seems to be strong, and the Egyptian army is now starting to what? Grow stronger, right? Now, a large portion of Nasser Yusuf's army, you know, when he fled and left his army, where did they go? They saw Qutuz. So a lot of the armies of Sham, of Damascus and Aleppo, they had no leader. They ended up going and joining Qutuz. So now Qutuz has a bigger army. He has the Mamalik, he has the army of Egypt, and he has some of the army of Sham. So his forces are getting bigger, right? Type. At this point, while this is happening, right, a letter comes from Hulaku Khan. Hulaku Khan sends a letter to Qutuz. What? The same way, a threat. And I'm going to read it, and I'm going to read you the response of Qutuz to Hulaku, which is very important. The same way. Hulaku Khan is, again, the psychological warfare, right? He starts saying what? From the king of kings, east and west, the great Khan. In the name of God, the creator of earth and heavens. بسم الإله رب السماء ورب الأرض, right? To the king Qutuz, who belongs to the race of the Mamalik. What is he saying here? I know who you're like, yeah, to the one, yeah, you're slaves, right? You see that, right? Those who fled from our swords to the new region, where they enjoy its blessings and yet kill its rulers, whom they served and lived under. What is he referring to? Remember the whole thing with Shajarat al-Durr and Aqtai and Aybak and Turanshah saying, I know you lived in Egypt, you served your masters and you guys killed them. Traitors. You see what? He's reminding him of what? You know Fir'aun, when Musa came to him in the Quran, what did he tell him when he saw him? أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلِيدًا وَلَبِثْتَ فِينَا سِنِينَ ثُمَّ فَعَلْتَ فَعَلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ. Right? Didn't we raise you? Oh, Musa, I remember you. Didn't we raise you among us? And you stayed with us. Then you killed one of us and ran away. You, like wretched man, traitor. That's a technique of what? Reminding you of like, oh, remember what you did? So he's starting the message with what? I know who you are. I know you're slaves. And I know that you guys killed each other. You're traitors, right? This is how he starts, right? And then he starts what? Know that we are the army of God on his earth. نحن جنود الله في الأرض. ما شاء الله, هؤلاء جند الله. He created us from his wrath and direct us against those whom his anger has descended. Let the fate of other lands be a lesson for you, and let it deter you from defiance. Take heed from what has befallen others, and submit to our authority before the veil is lifted, and you face regret and error. For we do not show mercy to those who cry, nor do we pity those who complain. You have heard of our conquest of the lands, the purification of the earth from corruption. MashaAllah, Holakos is the one that's purifying earth from corruption. And killing most of all of its inhabitants, as Allah said in the Quran, verily, kings, when they enter a town, they despoil it and make the most honorable amongst its people low. Flee if you can, for we shall pursue you. What land will shelter you? What road will save you? What country will protect you? There is no escape from our swords, no refuge from our fear. Our horses are swift, our arrows are piercing, our swords like lightning, and our hearts are like mountains. Our numbers are like grains of sand. Fortress will not shield you from us. Armies will not avail you against us. And Allah will not answer your prayer against us. دعاؤكم علينا لا يسمع. Right? Why? You have consumed the forbidden, failed to honor your words, broken oath, allowed rebellion and disobedience to spring among you. So be glad of disgrace and humiliation, as Allah the Almighty says in the Quran. And he starts quoting the Quran again. Right? And he continues, whoever seeks war with us will regret it, and whoever seeks, and he gives him a warning, do not prolong our reply. We have acted justly by sending you this message. We have awakened you by issuing a warning, and then he gives some poetry. Tell Egypt that Holako is coming, and when he comes, he's going to do this and that. And you read this letter in Arabic, it rhymes, literally, it's all rhyming, and it's very scary. And it's obvious who's writing this again. It's not Holako, of course. Holako doesn't know the Quran, right? But you can see why is he doing this. You can see the idea. Now, Qutuz receives this letter of Holako. He gathers all the Mamalik. What are we going to do? What's going to happen now? And they start debating. Should we what? Should we leave Egypt? Should we run away? Where? Where are we going to run? Should we attempt to fight? Should we attempt to surrender? Should we appease him? What are the choices? And people start to debate, and most of the Mamluks, as you know, aren't the type that would appease, right? They have the strength to fight, but they're afraid. And they started, the opinion and brainstorming till he came to Bebars. And asked Bebars, what do you think we should do? What do you think Bebars said? It's Bebars, Ruknuddin Bebars, right? Bebars he said, here is what I think we should do. Number one, get all their messengers, kill all of them. Then gather your army and don't wait. Go out and fight them in Sham. That's Bebars for you. It tells you about what is this defense and I'm weak and like, no. By the way, why kill the why kill the messengers? Why did he say that? Because is this prophetic? Is this allowed in Islam? Messengers are not to be killed. Bebars are saying, kill them right now. Your response is not a letter. Your response, kill. That's how you respond. That's how you respond to Holak. That's the language he understands. Why is he saying that? There is a purpose. Why do you think he said kill the messengers? Couldn't he just send a letter? What do you think happens if he killed the messengers of Holak? Of course, Holak is not going to get scared, but he's doing it for another reason. Do you think there is any hope for reconciliation now? So he's afraid of what? If we send the letter, the Mamluks tomorrow might change their mind. Maybe, appease, right? But I know for a fact, if we kill the messengers, Hulaku will be so furious, there will be no peace. That way, the idea of possible surrender is what? Out of the heads of everybody. Everybody will know there is no, if you surrender, everybody will die. So kill them so that nobody has even the thought to surrender. You get the idea, right? And Qutuz gathers the opinion of everybody, right? And he tells them this. Ya umara al-Muslimin, speaking to the Mamalik. For too long we have consumed the wealth of the treasury while being reluctant to engage in battle. I am setting out to face the Mongols myself. أنا ألقى المغول أو التتار بنفسي. I decided, I'm going myself. And then he says what? Whoever chooses jihad and to join me, let him join me. Whoever wants to come. Whoever does not want to come, I'm not going to force you, stay home. But he tells them something. For Allah is watching over them. And the sin of failing to protect the honor of Muslim women will rest upon those who hold back. You want to hold back? Hold back. But when you see what's happening to the sisters and the mothers and the daughters, you're responsible. What do you think happened after this? Right? The Mamalik, of course, being like, oh, right? And somebody's eager to fight, yes, and they became strong and like, yes, khalas, we're going to unite and we're going to fight, right? And Qutuz decides to do what Babar said. He killed most of the messengers and left one or two, right? You know what Babar said, just kill all of them. By the way, Islamically, is that right? And people say that's a slip for Qutuz. And we understand why, the reasoning, the tactical reasoning, but still, if the Prophet ﷺ said something you cannot do, even if tactically it is good, there are limits, right? So that is one thing that people say, yeah, that's a mistake he made, right? Now, Qutuz responds to Hulaq. He sends a message responding, and I want you to read the message. It's very important because it shows the difference, right? And he says the following. Say, O Allah, you are capable of everything, and all praise is due to Allah, and blessings be on our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Nabiyul Ummi. Upon the letter that appeared at dawn from the Khan royal throne, it has become clear that you were created from his wrath, and you are empowered over those whom his anger has fallen. You do not show compassion to the one who doubts, nor do you show mercy to the tears of the weeping. For Allah has removed mercy from your hearts, and this is one of your greatest faults. These are the traits of the shayateen. These are the traits of devils, not the attributes of kings. Let this serve as a witness against you, and let your own self-description serve as a warning and a command to you. Saying, look what you said. What you said? This is not prophetic. This is a nafs shaytaniyya. I know who you are. This is a vice, not a virtue. And your own description of yourself is a testimony against yourself. And then he starts. Say, all these believers, I do not. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدْ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ. In every book you are cursed. In every ugly description you are mentioned. And every messenger tongue recounts you. We have news of you from where you were created. And you as disbelievers are as you claimed. May Allah's curse be upon the disbelievers. And then he says, you claimed that we brought forth corruption and we have mistakes. You're right. But notice what he says. You cling to branches without care for the roots of the matter. We, the true believers, do not bear any permanent flaw, nor are we defiled by few stains. The Quran was revealed to us, a source of mercy that remains unchanged. We verify this revelation and understand its interpretation. What is he saying here? He's telling him, yes, you're saying that some of us drink, some of us do X and Y and wrong things, right? But we say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So you're clinging to branches. You're trying to tell me you're bad because you're drinking. Correct. But guess what? At the end, I say Muhammad Rasulullah. I say La ilaha illallah. At the end, I'm a believer and you're not. At the end, Allah's still my wali, despite my shortcoming. Because Allah's al-Ghafoor, Allah's al-Rahman, Allah's al-Rahim. I'll say La ilaha illallah, I love Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam despite my mistakes. You think that doesn't count? He said, this is the essence. I say La ilaha illallah. Allah still with me, despite my sins. This message is extremely important. If I think because of my sins, Allah is throwing me out of the house and I don't belong to the masjid and I cannot be here anymore, and that's the recipe of disaster. You see Qutuz, very clear, no? Yeah, we have mistakes. The Muslims have mistakes. Yeah, we have people but we are the Muslims. We're the people of the Quran. We read the Quran. We say La ilaha illallah. We say Muhammad Rasulullah. That's the essence of the matter. Right? So it was very clear. Our unity is not shaken by threats, nor do we fear intimidation. With the power of the Almighty, the praiseworthy, we are not swayed by terror, nor disturbed by alarm. If we disobey you, it is out of obedience. If we kill you, it is a victory. If we die, there lies an hour between us and heaven. You claim that, he starts telling him that your hearts are like mountains and this and that. Right? And he's saying, no. Escaping humiliation is not the same as escaping death. Confronting death is our highest aspiration. If we live in happiness. If we die as martyrs. Do you ask us to obey your leadership after the leadership of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Khalifa of the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? La sam' wa la ta'ah. No obedience, no hearing. Do you seek for us to surrender our affairs to you before the veil is lifted? Woe unto you. You want us to disbelieve after faith? Adopt apostasy after clarity? Tell your writer. Very interesting. Tell your writer who crafted this message. I know who's doing this. Go tell him, right? Who polished his words and made his message grand. That you have achieved your intent. Your brevity and excess were purposeful. By Allah, your letter was no more to us than the creaking of a door or the buzzing of a fly. Right? We recognize your rhetoric and eloquence, but you are, as someone said, memorize few things while forgetting many things. You wrote, the unjust will come to know which end they will face. This message is to you, not to us. And then he starts, the victorious king, the princess of Damascus will all, be sure to send you to hell. And then he tells them the following. Tell them with your eloquence, what need is there for misquoting verses, fabricating stories, classifying such letters? You know what he's telling him? What? Go tell them. The fact that you're putting Quran and why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You're afraid from us? There is no need to do this. We know very well what you're doing. So you, the writer who wrote this, go tell Hulaku Khan this doesn't work. And if you're really strong, why are you trying to scare us? Why are you trying to lose psychological? There is no need for this, right? And then he tells him, do not promise any alternative for peace. Our rendezvous is the battlefield. That's it, right? So now he killed some of the messengers and he sent this letter. It's obvious what's going to happen next. Showdown, right? Now the next thing. Qutuz goes, let's prepare the army. The treasury is empty. Egypt's treasury, Egypt is a poor country. Like nowadays, Egypt is the economy of Egypt is not that good. And, the country doesn't have enough resources. And then what should we do? We need to raise an army. So the Mamluks tell him, easy. You need to raise an army to protect the people. We don't have money. What should we do? What is the easiest way? You want money to protect the people, and you don't have money. What should you do? Taxes. ضريبة الجهاد, right? And it's for people. Just gather money from the people, issue a tax, 10%, take the wealth, prepare the army. What does Qutuz say? Right? Qutuz said, is that permissible? Because in Islam, it's not. In Islam, there is very profound warning against al-Makkas, the one that puts excessive or taxes on Muslims. It's very serious. He said, I know as Muslims, we're not allowed to tax people. I know it is war, but I'm not a scholar. Is that permissible? Notice the way he's thinking. Who should answer that question? Not the Mamalik, not you, not me. We have to have scholars. Notice the idea. And what type of scholars? The scholars of the Sultan? You know what I mean? Because there are scholars, of course. Yes. Everything is halal. Whatever you want, sir, right? No. I need the scholar that is, we know who he is, right? So bring it. And they offer, yes, Sayyidi, we want to fight the Mongols, and we don't have money, and we have to raise an army. And Izz ibn Abd Salam speaks. And he says, when the enemy enters the land of Islam, it becomes obligatory on everyone to fight them. And for this purpose, it is only permissible to assign taxes on the public if two other conditions are first met. One, there is no wealth left in the treasury. Yep, check, correct. Second, that all the emirs, the Mamluks, start selling their extra valuables and ornaments till they are only left with their basic war gear and horses. At this point, it is permissible to add taxes to the public, but without those two conditions being met first, the answer is no. What is he saying? You know how difficult that is? He's basically looking at the Mamalik, mashallah, a golden sword with gold, a silver shield, and you know the ornaments? How much you guys are like way up there, and you want to put taxes on the poor people? No. You sell all these unnecessary things. Start selling. And when you go down till you meet the people, and there is not enough money, then we'll consider it. Qutuz said he went home, brought all his everything, and sold it. And the Mamalik started doing the same thing. They started selling their things. And they discovered something amazing. Egypt is a rich country. Egypt has enough money. Egypt is not poor. Subhanallah, right? You guys know what I'm speaking. I don't need to comment, right? It's same today. We're a poor country. I don't think so. We're not poor at all. Where is it, right? And people discovered they don't need taxes. The money was enough. They can raise an entire army from that. An army that is raised with halal money. This is very important. A big difference between an army that's raised by tolling people and unjustly oppressing others versus an army that's raised from halal. All the money is coming from halal source. This is what Qutuz was about, right? Then, now what is the plan? They start raising the army and preparing. What is your plan, Ya Qutuz? What are you going to do? He said, okay, Baybars and him gathers, and Baybars, of course, is the war leader, and he has a plan. And he proposes to Qutuz. Qutuz likes it, but everybody else was very unhappy with the plan. What is it? We will not wait for the Mongols to attack Egypt. We are going to take the initiative. We're going to take our army, leave Egypt, go to Sham, and fight them in Palestine and Sham. The best defense is attack. And the Mamluks, no way, this is crazy. Why do you think they're not happy with the plan? Of course it's hard, right? But they're thinking, you know what? If you go out, if you go out, there will be a battle, right? If you go out to him, he has to fight. But maybe if we stay back, who knows? Maybe something happens. Maybe he dies. Maybe disease. Maybe, earthquakes. Maybe he changes his mind. Maybe he delays, right? And you wait. So maybe we wait, perhaps. Allah's faraj, and Allah is. Let's wait. And of course, Baybars and Qutuz, this is the worst plan ever. Because you need to fight him, and then you have a second line if something happens. But you wait till he comes to your country like everybody else. This is why all those cities fell. Everybody waits in his place till they come, pick on each one independently. No, we're going to go out for them. Also the psychological element. There are people that are not afraid of you and they're attacking you. And this is a very big message, right? So they insisted on that, and it ended up, guess what? He tells them, Qutuz says a word that I think, especially our kids here, like the ones, this is very powerful. He said, Ya Umara al-Muslimin, in lam nakun nahnu lil-Islam, faman. You know what he's saying? We're the ones that are trained, we're the ones that are educated, we're the ones that are in power. If we do not save Islam today, who else should? Why is that powerful? Yes, our kids live in America. Education, wealth, privilege. If you do not stand for Islam, who should? The kids in Palestine? If we, with all the privileges we have here, choose not to stand, are you expecting people that are under the tyranny of our rulers to stand? If we, with all our wealth and education and masajid and institutions, the zakah, how much zakah comes from the American Muslims every year? Estimates, 2.5 billion. $2.5 billion. And that's not sadaqah, zakah. We are strong. If we, with all the privilege that Allah gave us with our positions, and mashallah, we're everywhere, and we choose to stay on the side, who's going to carry the flag? You're expecting the weak ones? Mashallah, bravo, yeah, look at the Palestinians, yeah, they lead. Good for them, shame on me. Good for them, shame on me. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Same thing for kids. If you do not memorize Quran, if you do not do something, if you not advocate for Islam, if you do not use your mind to do something for this deen, with all what you have, you can go to UCLA, you can go to Berkeley, you can go, but no, I'm not just going to play video games, I'm not going to study. I mean, what do you expect? We better take it seriously. Qutuz was telling them this, you're the Mamalik, you're the trained ones, you're the ones that you know how to fight. If you do not, you expect people to fight in the battlefield? You spend day and night for decades mastering the archery and swords and maces, and now you're not going to fight? إِن لَمْ نَكُنْ نَحْنُ فَمَنْ. I hope you get the power of this message. And the Mamluks, it really hit them hard. And they decided, yes, he's right. And they decided to gather their army. And then he made a very brilliant plan. He said, let's divide the army into two. Babers, take a group of the army, the vanguard, brave warriors, and you proceed ahead of my army. So the main army is backward. Babers take a small group and goes ahead of the army. And let him go all the way, preceding our army, all the way to Sham. Why? So that when he's spotted, they will think that's the army of the Mamalik. Get the idea? While the main army is still behind. And he told him, go ahead, engage the garrison in Gaza. Gaza had a small garrison. The Mongols left a garrison there. Nobody will dare attack the Mongols, God forbid, you know. Said, you go ahead, you attack them. Achieve any kind of victory, because it's important. And Babers leaves, and he heads. And he surprises the Mongols in Gaza. And they find out that the Mamalik are coming and they're fighting. And they start fighting, and a war happens. Small battle, not big. The Battle of Gaza. And in the Battle of Gaza, Babers destroyed most of the Mongol soldiers. And it was a victory for the Muslims, and he completely overwhelmed them. And he went to Gaza, and the Mongols started running away back, to Holako with the news that what? The Egyptians, the Mamluks they mean business, they're fighting. But then they reported the numbers of the army to be what? The Babers vanguard, right? The results of this battle is not mentioned in history. People mention the other battle, the big battle. This is a major battle, the Battle of Gaza. Why? Something amazing happened. Not in a military sense, it's a small battle. In a military sense, nothing. I mean, it's not the army of the Mongols. But the repercussions of the Battle of Gaza was amazing. What happened next was something really amazing. Here's the Battle of Gaza, right? Numerous volunteers started joining Quds. What happened? People saw something they weren't used to. The Battle of Gaza woke up people. We can win. There are people that can resist. There is hope. There are some people that are saying no. There is Babers. So many people woke up. And volunteers by the thousands started gathering. They see someone serious, they see some resistance, they see some hope. It woke them up. And now all of a sudden Qutuz finds what? Thousands of people are flocking to him after that battle. Second, which is also very important, right? Traitors reconsidered their position. What does that mean? Something really interesting happened. Sarim ad-Din Aybak, one of the rulers that was in the Mongol camp, one of those Ayyubiyin that was on the other side, comes to Qutuz. And he says, I saw what happened, I woke up. This battle, I want to change sides. Astaghfirullah of me being with the Mongols. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm here to tell you, I'll be with you. And I'm going to tell you some news from their camp to take into account. Number one, the Mongol army is not as big as it was, so do not be afraid. What does he mean? This is the help of Allah. Holako, when he came, he had 150,000, remember? At this instance, the great Khan in Mongolia passed away. When the Khan passes away, who's the next Khan? Well, everybody must come, attend, and Hulaku is one of the possible people. So Hulaku has to go all the way to Mongolia to attend the meeting, and so he withdrew and took some of the army with him. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. SubhanAllah, right? So he's telling him, don't worry, the Mongol army you heard about, the 150, they're not as big. They're still big, but guess what? Allah spared you. Many of them left. The second, the right wing of the Mongols is the most powerful. So take heed. When you plan in the battlefield, the right is going to be very powerful. Put your best soldiers in the left side. The third thing, Al-Ashraf al-Ayyubi, one of the Ayyubiyin that is again joining the Mongols, he's telling you that he's no longer, after the Battle of Gaza, no. He's switching sides. And once the battle starts, and once you attack, at the right moment, he's going to switch sides. And he's going to withdraw and help you, and he's going to attack the Mongols. So be prepared for this. If you are Qutuz, do you take it or you don't? You think this is okay or this is a trick? What do you guys think? Maybe. So what do you do? You see the problem here, right? What if you believe it and turns out completely wrong? Right? So what they did is they made contingency. So the way they plan, they say we'll take it into account, but we'll have a contingency plan. We can go either way. Right? So they took this and they planned accordingly, as you'll see. Right? Now the plan. And subhanAllah, they marched to an area called Ain Jalut. And it's subhanAllah, there is a symbolic meaning for this. Ain Jalut. Jalut, what does it remind you of? Goliath? Right? What happened in that battle? Interestingly enough, right? The weak ones, right, with the sling, Dawood alayhi salam got Goliath down. The same place with Talut or Jalut, right? It's the same place that this battle is happening. Will it be that the Mongols, Goliath of their time, and you have Dawood alayhi salam, maybe the Qutuz and Baybars, maybe they'll destroy the Mongols in this battle? You get the idea? So the battle, what happened where? Ain Jalut. And now they lay a very interesting plan. They sit, remember the Mamalik are very good in strategy. They know how to strategize. They're not just warriors, they know how to fight a war together. That was one of their strengths. War is not fought as individuals, you lose. You have to have cohesion, you have to work accordingly. You have to attack together, they're trained as such. So Qutuz and Baybars made this plan. Qutuz said, there is a valley and it's surrounded by trees. You see this U shape? Like this. He said, we will hide most of the army here, behind the trees. Baybars, take your vanguard, the small group, and proceed and go ahead. Meet the Mongols here. So when they see you, they think that this is the army. They'll attack. Your mission is what? To start bringing them in till that area. Once they're here, we'll surround them. You get it's a bait, right? And he tells Baybars, go forth. Right? And Baybars indeed takes the army of the Mamalik, right? The best contingency, if you will. And he goes and he starts lining in front of, on a hill like that, right? Lining his troops. And surely enough, the army under Kadboga, the leader of the Mongol army at the time, comes with the Armenians and the Crusaders of Antioch and the Mongols, and they start noticing, they see Baybars, right? And they say something that's very scary. From far, they see what? The Mamluks. And then Baybars orders the drums. And something very interesting happened. The Mamalik starts to what? Their formation. They start coming down from that hill. The Mamalik were very magnificent in the way they wear their dress. Each group has a color code, blue and white, red and yellow, right, with their flags, with their armor, and the way they march and their drums and their discipline and their weapons, and they come and they align and their sounds, and they started to line their troops in a very disciplined way. Now, Kadboga, the leader of the Mongols, saw this. Sarim ad-Din Aybak, remember this guy that flipped sides? He was with Karboga. And he said, I saw what happened. Karboga, he said, once he saw the Baybars troops coming down, فَبُهِثَ الَّذِي كَفَرْ. He said he was struck with fear. I can see it in his face. And then he said, Ya Sarim, ruknu man hada. Ya Sarim, whose troops is this? Scary. And he said, oh, this is, Asad ad-Din of, this city, and this is his Mamalik. And then another group comes down. Ya Sarim, who are those people? Oh, those are the Mamalik of Aleppo came and joined us. And then another group comes down. Oh, Sarim, who are those? And he said, I don't know. I ran out of names. He said, I started to make names up. This is that, this is this, just to scare him, right? And he said, I saw something, and this is from Allah, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, نُصِرْتُ بِالرُّعْبِ مَسِيرَةَ شَهْرٍ. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls the hearts of our enemies. There is no reason for Kadboga to be scared, but something happened. And Kadboga, by the way, is one of the leaders that was with Genghis Khan. I mean, he's very old. This is one of the original Mongols, that shows very well skilled, right? And he sees this and he starts like, oh, this looks scary. And then after a while, type khalas, attack. Let's finish them off. And he orders the cavalry, the Armenians and the Crusaders and the Mongols just go ahead, attack. And they charge. And they meet the Mamalik, Baybars, right? And a battle starts happening. And it's a fierce battle. And the Mamluks put a big fight. And then Baybars retreats and he goes behind the hill. And now Kadboga cannot see what's happening behind the hill. So he orders what? Go forward. Yeah, let's help. I mean, you can see they went behind the hill. I don't know what's going on, right? I hear screams. And so he orders his army, go, attack, right? And at this point, Baybar starts doing the plan, which is extremely difficult. Fight and retreat. Fight and organized retreat, right? Convince them enough that we're defeated, but fight. Defeated and fight. Defeated. And they started to swallow the bait, and now they started to follow Baybars. And Baybar starts retreating. And now all the Mongols are following, just let's finish him off. Let's finish this army off, right? And he starts going to where the trap is laid. They're approaching the kill zone. And at the right moment, they go into this kill zone, and the whole Mongol army is there. And at this point, the real plan comes into play. And the Muslims come out of the trees from all sides. And they start attacking the Mongols from all sides. And the Mongols realize what's happening, that the army of the Muslims is actually big. But they're strong too, they're powerful too. So they start to do what? Okay, fine, let's attack. And something happens. Indeed, the news that the Mamluks received was right. The right side of the Mongols was very strong. And they started to charge. And they started to charge against the left wing of the Mamalik. And their plan was simple. Destroy those and then encircle the Mamalik. So like they want to do this. And then encircle them from behind. And they started pushing the left side. And indeed, the attack was so ferocious that the Mamalik here could not sustaining their positions. And you can see now they're starting to retreat, and the Mongols are advancing, and they are going to go to encircle the Muslims. At this point, the contingency plan. If you noticed, Qutuz, here, you notice this, took some of his troops and he did not put them anywhere. He put them in the back. Why? In case this plan is true, I can deploy them wherever I need. So he kept a part of his troops, very strong troops, with him, with the idea that if indeed they attack from the left, we're going to go there. So now it was time for this. Qutuz saw what's happening. It's true, the left is really suffering. So he did something really interesting, right? Qutuz took off his helmet. And why, right? And he said, Wa Islam, Ya lil Islam. Salah ad-Din used to say, Ya lil Islam. He said, Wa Islam. Why did he take off his helmet? He wants everybody to see. And Qutuz. Right? And he charged himself. And all the Mamalik are after him, right? Taking off your helmet is extremely dangerous, right? But he wanted, I'm not afraid of death. Yes, it is me, Qutuz. And I said, I'm going to fight them myself. Here I am. I'm leading the charge, right? And then they charged. Now, interestingly, the Mamluks have developed a very interesting, what I call anti-pony. Remember the ponies? Remember the Mongol with the ponies, right? So when they attacked, they came up with something that some report was very first-time use. They developed a weapon that was extremely effective against the ponies. What was it? The first use of gunpowder. Handheld cannons. First time. Guns. This is a very primitive form. So the big handheld guns, with powder and they shoot, bang, right? Now they say it wasn't that effective. It's very, right? It didn't kill anybody. But why was it effective? It scared the ponies to death, right? The Mamluk horses were trained with this. They weren't scared, but now the ponies, you come and near them and bang, right? And it said a lot of the mounts, the ponies started running with their knights and just left the battlefield, right? It's very interesting. Like there's some people, very interesting technology, right? And they start fighting. And now Qutuz is in the midst of the battlefield, and he fights himself. And by Allah's grace, the left wing, now fortified by this, starts to take a stand. And Qutuz pushes. And a fierce battle happened. And indeed, by Allah's grace, with the help of Qutuz and of course Baybars in the center, they start to outflank the Mongols and they push them back. And it was clear at this point, they wanted to encircle the Mongols completely. See, the Mamluks is not just about winning and letting them go. The Mamluks are about what? You have an opponent, your mission is what? Yes, they think strategically. It's like, and again, this is their strength, right? You dare attack us, we're not resting till we just get all of you, right? So their plan is not for you to retreat. The plan is what? We don't want anybody to retreat. This is how they plan, right? So they wanted to encircle the Mongols and finish all of them. And they start achieving this, and they start, they're almost done. And subhanAllah, Katobga was in the middle, the leader, right? And indeed, one of the Mamluks charged against the leader, Katobga himself. And they meet in the battlefield. And Katobga was again a very ferocious warrior. And he said, لا مناص من الموت هنا. I'm not retreating. There is no alternative except to die here. And when Hulaku hears about what happens, he is going to come with all his forces. And he starts fighting. And the Mamluk started attacking, and a battle between, again, now a duel. You have Katobga, right, on one side, and the Mamluk. And by the grace of Allah, the Mamalik were strong, and he hits Katobga, and he kills the leader of the Mongols. And Katobga, Nuain, falls dead in the midst of the battlefield. When the Mongols saw this, they realized this is not easy. At that point, they became about what? Run. And now they're about to be surrounded. So the Mongols started fighting a battle to the death. And their aim was what? Just open a breach. And the Mamalik started to encircle them, and they started killing many of them. And the Mongols were starting to attack, and they succeeded in having a small breach, as you can see. And they started leaving the battlefield and running. The leader died. Many of them died in the battlefield. Yet some of them started fleeing. At this point, Baybars ordered his troop, follow. And they were running. And Baybars and his troops and the army is after them. And they met in another place called Baysan. And another battle happened. We don't have records of it, except that people say that this battle was even worse and more ferocious than Ain Jalut. And in that battle, again, the Mamalik not only defeated the Mamluks, defeated the Mongols, they killed most of them. And this battle of Ain Jalut resulted in a major victory for the Mamalik. Most of the army of Katobga and Nuain, the Mongols that nobody can stand against, it's not only defeated, almost annihilated. And now the reputation, right? The Mongols, right now, you have another type of warrior that is not afraid, will challenge you in the battlefield, and their skills, and this is by many modern day scholars, they tell you the Mongols were simply outclassed. The Mamluk warrior outclassed the Mongols. Archery, horses, mace, swords, they were really a better warrior. And it was very clear in this battle. You're facing a new type of a warrior. Islam had a strength. And the Mongols now are defeated, and they start, to run. And at this time, okay, major victory, we defended Egypt. It's time, khalas, let's go back, right? And Qutuz announced, go back where? Go back to Egypt? No, this is not about Egypt. What about Damascus? What about Baghdad? What's this call about going back? You think the mission is over? No. What about the rest of the cities? And he orders his troops, no going back to Egypt. Our mission was not to defend Egypt. We're here for Islam. It's not about my country. It's not about Egypt. It's not about Egypt and Sham. It's about Islam. The rest of the Muslim countries are occupied. They're still here. We are going to go to free Damascus. Prepare. And he prepares his army. And now he announces, we are going to Damascus. Prepare to siege and take the city from the Mongols. And the Mamluk army arrives to the city of Damascus. And what do you think they found? He found something really interesting. They didn't have to fight. What happened? No. The people in Damascus, the regular people, discovered that they can fight. So the people of Damascus revolted, attacked the garrison of Damascus, killed all of them, and took the city back. Huh? Where was that 1 year ago, right? I hope you get what I'm saying. They discovered, oh, we're lions, we can actually fight. And then guess what? Oh, let's go to Aleppo. Guess what happened? The entire Sham was liberated. Not by the Mamluks. The people revolting and people gathering, and now the Mongols are on the run. They're being hunted, literally. Hunted in Sham. All of them escaped and had to run different places, right? And they went back all the way to the area of Baghdad, back to Holako, reporting a major defeat. Damascus has been liberated. Aleppo has been liberated. Egypt and Sham are now together. Qutuz, Bibars, the Mamalik, right? Established that. Is it over? You think it's over? What do you expect to happen next? You think Holako is going to say, oh, yeah, khalas. Look at the size. Okay, great, Egypt and Sham. Holako is still there. The Mongol Empire, what do you think is going to happen next? Counterattack, a major, like they're going to come back. So what's going to happen? How will the Mamalik face this? Okay, you won. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. The Mamalik will have to face what? The counterattack. The Mamalik, on the other hand, now you can see their strength, and they were on a mission. And they were in a very interesting group, because now it's like, once they took power, and it was like, well, you know what? Crusaders, Armenians, Mongols, all of them. So now the Mamluks are going to decide to do what? Not only it's not about the Mongols, what about those Crusaders that has been there for 150 years? What about them? What about the Armenians? What about the people that went to Damascus and humiliated Islam? You think the Mamalik are going to leave them? So now the Mamalik has a mission. And it's like, it's not the Mongols. Mongols, Crusaders, Armenians, everybody. And Islam has a new force that comes. What will happen next? How will this showdown happen? What ends up going on? Inshallah next time, because I think we're out of time, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for being patient. And inshallah next time we continue our story. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. Yes.
If Islamically, in principle, if the enemy is running away from you, shouldn't
we spare you?
Should try to get them to surrender
and
rehabilitate them rather than wipe them out?
Okay.
Like what they were doing?
Yes. So this is a question I'll raise later, right? So first of all, he's raising a question. The Mamalik, you will see, the Mamalik do not. Mamalik is about what? They are, and you'll see with the Crusaders, man, you will see, they were completely non-forgiving. You're here for 150 years, right? On the other hand, you had people like Salah ad-Din, and Salah ad-Din was known to do what? He crushes people, and then he does what? Khalas. Release the prisoners. And he was criticized by some scholars. The people that he released, what do you think they did? They came back and attacked him again. And Ibn al-Athir sometimes says, why did you? He's the one that led to this, right? And a question that I will raise, which approach? Are you more like Salah ad-Din? More of like what you say, okay, khalas, I achieved we broke them, let them be. Release them, show mercy, show compassion. Or you take the stance of Bibars, no, I break them, they never stand up again. Right? Which approach? Islamically, there is merit for both, with conditions. There is merit for both with conditions. Okay, this is again, I will debate this. I personally, what I lean to as Hassan, I like Salah ad-Din's way. If you ask me, I know especially the young guys, they would, when you hear about Bibars, you will see like, yes, finally. Imagine today, if you finally, somebody comes to Israel and what do you want them to do? You can see it in a minute, right? But Salah ad-Din would do what? He takes the city and release all. Takes the city, he breaks their army. He fights them. He breaks the army. And then he goes and Ya Allah, Bismillah, khalas, be nice to them. Let them go, right?
Shouldn't we always ask what would the Prophet
Exactly. My heart leans with what Salah ad-Din said. It's better to err in forgiveness than to be right in punishment. That's my personal view. Wallah. We'll discuss it more inshallah as we go. Jazakallah.